Hello friends, welcome to my channel Q Analysis, and today we are here for my latest webinar on BDD, that is Behavioral Driven Development, and I'm your host Prashant Kumar. So let's begin with our today's presentation. The agenda for today's presentation and today's webinar would be something like this. What is BDD? I'll discuss in detail about the BDD. And why is BDD needed or required? What is the importance? What are the benefits of BDD? How to practice BDD? How can you practice it and how can you implement it in your day-to-day software development process? The testing and development, how they use BDD in testing and development. I'll give you live examples from real time with the benefits of using BDD. So that is my fifth point in the agenda. And at last, I'll share my findings. What are my findings with respect to BDD? So let's not waste any time and go ahead with today's presentation. One request, if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe it so that you can get benefited from the previous videos and webinars which I have done on software testing and software management. Plus, this will also help you to get notified for the all upcoming webinars and videos and presentations which I keep on posting time to time over my channel. Thank you, friends. Let's move on. What is BDD? BDD stands for Behavioral Driven Development, which is very much known to you. In my upcoming slides, I'll tell you what is behavior and what exactly it means. But as of now, you can understand behavior is somewhat similar to specifications. So BDD is also known as a specification-driven development. This has emerged from agile software development technique based upon test-driven development mostly. And it strengthens the collaboration between the quality management and business analysis of software development projects. So you can see in this diagram, we have customer, we have domain expert, we have quality analyst and developer, all of them at the same level, and they are the experts in their field. They are working together, and then customer and domain expert together, and also the Q analyst, they together put in their inputs and keep on evolving or keep on developing the stories. Depending on that, the specifications, which in turn is known as the behavior, depending on the behavior, it is being developed by the developer and tested by the quality analyst, and then the software is developed or application is developed. Now, the stories, they match to the behavior, which is the specification in turn, and then the expectations is exercised in application, which then will be used by users. So in my next slide, I'll tell you, in the upcoming slides, I'll tell you how exactly BDD is an enhancement to unit testing and TDD. Most of you who are watching this presentation, I hope you are aware of software testing using software developmental models using unit testing and TDD. If in case you are not, please feel free to go through the other videos. I have posted some videos on continuous integration, test-driven development in my channel, so you can go over there and refer those videos. You can find the links in the channel description itself. Go ahead and refer to those videos and you get yourself familiarized. In case you have any question, feel free to ask me via LinkedIn, via website, or by chat, or by adding your comments to the video. I'll answer your questions. So BDD is the extension to TDD, test-driven development, and unit testing, wherein the specification is the main concern, made before customer, made before domain expert, made before quality analyst or tester or developer. Let's see how. Why BDD? Why we need business-driven development when we already have other forms? BDD is writing software that matters. You can see here a cartoon strip which is about Captain America, and then what he's saying, so far so good, but this is only phase one. Exactly. Nowadays, things are changing or turning out to be very user-centric. It's a very tough market outside, and then you users, they deserve and they need to be fully satisfied. And in order to do that, you have to provide something which is very much user relevant and which should be 100% doing what exactly they're supposed to do. And how to achieve it? You can achieve it by knowing the specification, by working on the behaviors, what exactly you should work upon. And this is done using BDD. Why BDD? So the question which I asked in the previous slide, I'll give you the answers to those questions over here. These are the few points which I have enlisted, and they will let you know, or it will make clear to you why exactly we need BDD. Communication between the business and development is extremely focused as a result of common language. BDD uses a design language, it uses a neutral language which is common between developer and business or subject matter experts or even customers. So they can understand it. It is not very technical. So I'll give you an example in my upcoming slide what kind of language is being used. And because of that, the communication between business and the development side, or the software development, which include developer and tester, the communication between business side and the development side, it becomes very focused. Business needs business to tie directly. Business needs the tie directly to the code that is written. Exactly. So the kind of code what is written, it is more meaningful to the business. They can actually relate to what it is written. So it is no more a technical language which they cannot understand. It is something which is very much understandable for the business side as well. Developers know what test cases they should write to accommodate TDD. Now, developers, they know, depending upon the different kind of scenarios provided to them by the business users, they know it very easily, and to a greater comfort level, they know what kind of test cases to be written in order to accommodate test-driven development. All the underlying benefits of TDD become more easily realized. Yes, everything what you do in TDD, that becomes very much easily accessible, and it becomes very much easily realized when you practice BDD, because BDD is based upon TDD. It's a hard subset of TDD with much more benefits, and also it includes not only the technical side. To understand it easily, TDD was based mainly on the technical side, but BDD is technical side of TDD plus the business side, so it is a larger subset. Code is self-documenting and easier to maintain. Stories are easier to groom, break down, task, and plan. When I say story, it is user stories. Teams tend to be more agile. Team members can be trained and onboarded easier. There is more visibility to the team process and status. Yeah. So there are a lot of benefits because everybody in the team gets so much involved when BDD is being practiced. Made with the business side, made with the QA side, made with the development side, made with subject matter experts, made with the customers. Everyone can understand and they can easily participate and they can provide their inputs, and directly they get involved in this process. And that's the reason BDD is turning out to be a great hit nowadays. Let's talk about the BDD process. BDD process is based upon TDD. In TDD, let's talk about the TDD first, and then I'll explain you the BDD. In TDD, first of all, you write a failing test case. You write in a test case which will fail because the user story implementation has not been done. So test case which is there to test the implementation, it will always fail. And then you make some changes. You implement the functionality. If your functionality is implemented in a correct way, your test case will pass. And you keep on doing it till the time your test cases they pass. You don't do it till your time functionality works. You do it till the time your functionality is working fine and your test cases are passing. And then once it is done, then you keep on refactoring your code, to make it more readable, make it more robust and performance-wise, and make it more unique. And so you keep on improving on the code side as well. So these are the three parts of writing the failing test cases, making your test case pass, and then refactoring your code and keep on doing it in iterative way in a number of cycles. This is the whole idea of TDD, and this is the underlying feature under BDD. In BDD, you write failing feature. So here you have a failing feature. Based upon the failing feature, you write the failing test cases, and then you develop the functionality, you implement it, you make your test case pass, and you refactor it. And after the refactoring, you again go ahead and write the failing features. update it, and you check whether the filling features are working fine. If not, then you go ahead and do the TDD process again, and you keep on doing it again and again, and then your final implementation is being done. And when this implementation is done, it is equally acceptable from both the sides, from user side as well as from the business side and from the technical side. 3 steps of BDD. Now let's talk about the 3-step BDD process. The step 1, where you write your user stories and story acceptance criteria using BDD scenarios. What are the BDD scenarios? I'll explain you in the upcoming slides. Step 2, it talks about leveraging these BDD scenarios to write our automated test case, first in the true TDD fashion. I explained the same in my previous slide. And then step 3, leverage the BDD tool to map human-readable BDD scenarios into automated tests. Cucumber, and there are so many other tools which are available in the market which you can use for writing this. I'm not going into the BDD tool in this presentation because it will become very lengthy. So maybe if you want, just let me know. I'll come up with a more presentation so as to help you people to know more about the BDD tool in my upcoming slides. How to practice BDD? So in order to practice BDD, you have to apply the root cause analysis pattern. Yes, first of all, you have to do the root cause analysis of a user story. To each proposed user story, you have to figure out what is the main thing which is required from that user story so that its purpose is clearly related to business outcomes. And then thinking from the outside in. Yeah, the methodology what is being used here is outside in methodology. So thinking from outside in methodology, in other words, to implement only those behaviors which contribute most directly to the business outcome so as to minimize the waste. So see, here we are using so many things. BDD is turning out to be lean, BDD is turning out to be user-centric, BDD is turning out to be focusing on wastages and minimizing the wastages and improving the user's experience and providing a high quality product to your users. Describe the behavior in a single notation, which is directly accessible to domain experts, testers, developers, so as to improve the communication. So everybody is on the same page, may it be domain experts, subject matter experts, testers, developers, or business users. Everybody is on the same page because everybody is knowing about the behavior and they're going to implement the behavior, right? And applying these techniques all the way down to the lowest level. When I say outside in, it's a top-down approach. You come from outside to inside, the final business outcome. From there, you go ahead till the technology side, not the other way around. You don't do it like typical traditional project wherein you decide upon the technology side and go ahead towards the business. No, in BDD, you come from the business side toward the technology side. So applying these techniques all the way down to the lowest level of abstraction of the software, paying particular attention to the distribution of behavior so that evaluation remains cheap. Yes. When you come from business towards technology, it is observed that whatever user is asking, whatever your business users are asking, that is only being developed. So your wastage is reduced and it becomes cheap. Because if you develop everything as per your developers and testers, whatever your team thinks, and when it goes to the market and it is not up to the expectation of the business users, then again you have to go ahead and make the changes and come up with the change solution, which becomes very costly. So I think BDD is a very practical way, a practical methodology, and it should be highly appreciated because it talks about business and it also reduces the overall cost. BDD with example. So in my upcoming slides, I'll tell you different kind of example. I've been talking about many things in my previous slides wherein I said that in my upcoming slides, I'll show you certain examples, how exactly we do BDD. So in the following slides, I'll tell you BDD with example. It consists of 3 interwoven aspects. The first in BDD vocabulary, the second one is BDD framework or methodology, and the third one is level of abstraction of story level, user story level. So let's see these 3 aspects. BDD vocabulary. The focus is on specification. When I say BDD vocabulary, it has its whole focus on the specification. The specification describes the behavior of this software. In practice, it makes no difference whether the programmer writes. You can see this example, assert n is equals 3x or x should be equal to 3. So now you know, right, the third element. So this is what I mean to say. BDD is very much familiar. It is very much understandable, maybe for developer, tester, business users, or anybody else. The third element should be equal to x should be equal to third element, something like that. See, this is what is so easily understandable. The goal of this vocabulary change, however, is to teach beginners of the BDD the important aspect as quickly as possible and shorten the lengthy experience process. So it becomes very easy for any member to understand what exactly is the behavior, what is the expectation, what is the specification expected, how exactly the specification is expected to work. That things become very easy to understand. BDD suggests to test behaviors. So instead of thinking of how the code is implemented, we spend a moment thinking of what the scenario is. So this is a very important point, friends. BDD suggests to test the behaviors. We are not focusing on just the implementation. Instead, we are also focusing on the different kind of user scenarios and the behavior in which any software or the product or service is intended to work. BDD emphasizes to create stories using a natural language non-programmers can easily read. When I say non-programmers, it consists of business users basically, or subject matter experts, business analysts, product owners. These are the people who work on the business side and they provide the inputs to the technical team, may it be developers or testers. So BDD emphasizes to create user stories using a natural language and a non-technical language which is understandable by non-programmers on an easy basis. Unlike TDD, where the tests are written by developers, in BDD, automated specifications created by users or testers with developer wiring them into the code under test. So this is also a very interesting point. Unlike TDD, where in TDD, tests are written by the developers and they keep on implementing it. The failing test, they start implementing the functionality till the time the tests start to pass. Whereas here, tests are written by, in BDD, tests are automated specifications created by users or testers, wherein developers wire them into the code under test. I'll give you an example. Let me show you an example. Before that, let's discuss the outside-in framework. In my previous slide, I talked about outside-in approach, top-down approach, outside-in approach from business side towards technology side. Let's discuss about it in a little bit more detail. Outside-in means that the developers begin at the specifications at a relatively abstract or user level, and then the first code is based upon classes, functions that do not yet exist. This is made possible by using so-called mocks or stubs. So, most of you must be knowing. If not, then mocks and stubs are something which is a dummy class which is being used by developers to go ahead and for testers to go ahead and build up the main functionality just by imitating the real class. So these mocks and stubs are imitation of the real classes. The stories are the means of choice for accommodating requirements in agile methods such as Scrum or Extreme programming. From this, it is easy to derive scenarios for the specifications. So when you have the user stories and you have the requirements and you know what exactly, and you have some dummy classes and you have story level abstraction, it becomes very easy to go ahead and define the scenario and from scenario move to the specifications. In conjugation with the outside-in development, unnecessary code is avoided, and the team only programs what is actually needed or required. The programmer must also develop so-called step definition to connect natural language and programming language. Step definitions are something which act as a bridge between the natural language and the programming language. So, outside-in framework is something which helps in avoiding something which is unnecessary, which removes any kind of ambiguity. It emphasizes on the specification of the behavior. It emphasizes on getting to know the business more and then moving towards the code. And it is a bridge between something. It has a bridge in between the natural language, business language, and the technical language. So everybody is at the same page. Let's see scenarios for this specific. Let's see an example of scenario for the specification. So here we are talking about functionality. Functionality is customer login. As a customer, I'd like to log in with my access data to participate in the auction. This is a requirement or specification for the functionality. And then this is user is the existing user. Suppose there are following customers. These are the following customers. For customer, we have the following details: email, customer number, password, customer, and email is customer@web.de, customer number is 123456, and password is top_secret. So we have a functionality, we have an existing user. Existing user has certain fields, and for those fields you have certain values. And now we will go ahead and see the scenario. The scenario which I have been talking in my previous slide, let's go ahead and see it. Successful login with email ID. So you see, scenario for this specification over here is, as a customer, I would like to log in with my access data to participate in the auction. I have my data, I'm an existing user, and then I want to have a successful login with my email address. When I go to login page and I fill the login with email ID and I fill the password with top secret, whatever is the password, and I press on login, then I should be on the start page and I should see the message which is you have been successfully logged in. This is a kind of example of scenario for the specification. Example. Now, moving on to the next example, over here, I'll give you a practical example of behavior versus implementation. What is the difference between behavior and implementation? So let's see. This is the example of a unit test for imaginary counter object. We test that after calling tick, the value should be 1, and which sounds like it makes sense, but there's a problem in this test. You see, you have a counter and a function in which test you're calling this function wherein variable is increasing counter and counter is in calling tick and tick is increasing by 1, but there is a problem. Any ideas what exactly it is? Okay, let me go ahead and show you what is the problem here. The test is completely dependent on the fact that the counter starts at 0. So, in other words, this test is relying upon two assumptions. First, counter is always starting at 0. Second, ticking increments by 1. So, ticking function starts from 0. The counter is at 0 and ticking function increments by 1. The fact that the counter starts at 0 is an implementation detail that is irrelevant to the behavior of tick function. Therefore, it should not have any bearing on the test. So you got my point. We are concerned with the ticking counter, and we are not concerned with the counter and whether the counter is set at 0. Counter can be set at any position, and then we can keep on ticking the counter as per the function whatever we have defined for ticking. The only reason you end up writing such kind of test because we were thinking of the implementation and not of the behavior. This was just an example. Let's see how this example can be improved, how this problem can be resolved. Test behavior and not implementation. Yes, friends, this is a very important point when you're practicing BDD. Please keep it in your mind. Test behavior and not implementation. If you are a tester, if you are a developer, if you are a business user, or if you are a customer, always focus on testing behavior and not the implementation. Your specification is directly related to your behavior, but not directly related to your implementation. Let's see how. Here is a better version of same test. Describe counter function. It should increase counter by 1 after calling tick function. Variable counter has counter, and then expected count increasing counter plus 1. Count of the counter by 1, and then restoring the value. So, and finally, it is you giving you the expected count. So the important part here is thinking of the scenario rather than implementation. And it can lead you to design a better test, which is what we have in above scenario. So always focus on behavior, that is the specification, and not on the implementation, how you're going to implement it. What exactly you want to achieve, and this will follow. With this, I come to the final slide of this presentation, that is my findings. Depending upon my experience with BDD and what I have learned from my friends who are practicing BDD on day-to-day basis, I keep on discussing whatever I have learned from different sources, LinkedIn, webinars, podcasts, and talking to different kind of software experts. These are my findings for BDD. Unit testing gives you what, TDD gives you when, but BDD gives you how. Although you can use them individually, but you should combine them for the best result and each other very nicely. BDD offers more precise guidance on organizing the conversation between developers, testers, and domain experts. Next point is, the use of BDD requires no particular tools or programming language and is primarily a conceptual approach. Yes, it is purely a conceptual approach, and yes, you can implement it using different kind of tools present in the market. BDD is an outside-in methodology that starts at the outside by identifying the business outcomes and then drills down into the feature set that will achieve those outcomes. So if you ask me personally, I believe when unit testing, TDD and BDD, they are used together, that is the best approach. And then when implementing BDD, the best part is you come from outside towards in. So you come from the business side towards the technology side. You come from business understanding. Everybody is on the same page. May it be users, may it be testers, may it be developers, or may it be anybody in the team. They're all on the same page. Things become very easy because everybody is thinking on the same line. They're thinking about the behavior and the specification and not the implementations. And it doesn't require any, it is more like a concept. Within a team, you need to have such kind of concepts, and then you can implement it using different kind of tools available in the market. That's not a problem. If your concept is clear, unlike any other process, if your concept is clear, you can implement it. That shouldn't be any problem to you. So friends, if in case you have any question, any queries regarding BDD, please feel free to pop in and message me, call me, or you can mail me. You can chat me. You can also get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Twitter. Feel free to subscribe my channel, subscribe my website, and follow me for such kind of more videos and presentations. And this is about me. I'm a QA evangelist and software testing enthusiast. For those who don't know me, I'm a software engineering graduate, done my PG and a specialization in management from Howard University and ICMS Sydney. I'm having 12 plus years of experience and work in different domains of software development, including Java development, business analyst, test consultant, and finally, I'm working as the head of quality for the IT firm at a startup in Germany. And I've been working into different domains like investment banking and several kind of startups and service industries across USA, UK, Switzerland, Germany, and India. Feel free to connect with me for any QA-related query, suggestion, mentoring, or consulting opportunities. Thank you, friends. See you next time. Bye-bye. Have a good day.